Ho ho ho, happy Christmas. Yes, welcome to Flory Models. I'm Philip Flory. That time of the year again. You know, that bit where we all hope that our partners have picked up on all the hints about a model kit only to find it's completely the wrong one, but you've got to act as if it was the right one, you know, that time of the year. The bit where you're around with friends and family and really you just want to be at the modelling bench, so you don't actually get any time, even though you're on holiday and got loads of time for modelling, you never actually get there. And usually there's other things that get in the way that are good on telly. Anyway, from my point of view, I had a great week this week. Got on with loads and loads of work, which was nice because, as I say, usually run up to Christmas, usually quite busy and everything else, but I've sort of got it on par and got on. So really on with the ship. So part, what are we on now? 4 is it? 3, 4? 4 of the Wasp build for the Iwo Jima is up on the site now. And to be honest, you can see our little mini air wing down here. This is what it's all about. I show you about building these little guys, which to be honest are the biggest pain in the arse you can do because the gear just falls off of its own. You've only got to look at it and it all comes off. But basically I go down and I show you about how to make and weather and doing the screens and things like that with them. And to be honest, because of their scale and they're in clear plastic, they lull you into a false sense of security, because what happens is that you put them together and you think, oh, they're not too bad. And then when you put them together, you suddenly find out you've got big gaps and stuff like that. But because they're clear, you can't see them. So that is a little bit of a thing. But I've done the complete air wing. So we've got 4 Sea Knights, we've got Harriers, we've got CH-53s, we've got 4 of those, we've got Seahawks, we've got Ospreys and everything else. So we are now ready to glue these, get them all done with the rotors on, put them into position. The ones we're going to have down below, the rougher ones, are going to go down below, put them in, and then we can get the deck on, the wiring up and through, and it's going to come together very, very quickly from then on. So I should only think we'll probably have another 3 parts, maybe 4 left on this one. But next we're going to get it into paint. So next part up, which will probably be over Christmas at some point, between Christmas and New Year, I'll get the next part up where we've got the hull painted up, fixed down, because as I speak about in this one, we're going to have the battery pack and the switches and everything using the stock kit base unit for it, which works a lot better. And we'll be talking about electrics and how we're going to do it and things like that. In the meantime, we worked on the Intruder. We know we saw this a little bit last week, but here's the one again. This next 2 parts are up on the site now, as you can see. So this will get you to this stage. And remember, this is out of the kit box, just done, washes, dry brushes, and everything else. And it comes together really, really nicely. And to be honest, I do say, you know, at the time, when you look at it in the plastic and you think, you know, oh, for a 1/32 you'd expect greater detail, but it's surprising. You know, dry brushes, some washes, a little bit of concrete wash, nothing's fixed yet, as you can probably tell, and everything else you can get in there. And these are those belts which are made of blue tack. So as I said, 2 more parts of that are up on the site now, which keep you going over Christmas and everything else. As is, I think you've probably seen the bit on the electronics bay now. Just take the back off. We've done, this is the bit that hangs down the back, something like that, which has got all the boxes of goodies and tricks. We've wired all of those up and made them look particularly nice. So next thing, to be honest, is getting the fuselage halves together, which are done. So we've painted up where it counts. But I just needed reference shots, and thank you to all the ones, especially Tony, Ron, Daz as well, who helped me out with reference photos for the inside of this, because finding them in colour especially is a bit of a nightmare. So we're just going to super detail up the inside here into the cavity for the engine, and then we can get it all together and installed and really start pushing on. Because once we've done all this detailing work, the actual kit going together doesn't take too long at all. Speaking of that, a couple of kits came in this week, so we've got some great reviews for you today. First up, we're going to look at the surprisingly similar Hobby Boss, not Trumpeter, Hobby Boss 1/48 scale A-6 Intruder A. Hello, welcome to Flory Models. Review time. A-6 Intruder. Okay, this is the Hobby Boss kit. Now, we've seen this particular one in this scale, in 1/48 scale, done by Kinetic, okay? But this is actually the Hobby Boss one. Now, for those of you who are following along with everything at the moment, you'll know that I'm actually doing the Trumpeter 1/48 scale kit. And as a lot of you know, or have known about, if you build the Trumpeter Tomcat, okay, and then the Hobby Boss one, they go together surprisingly similar. Now, I'm not saying anything here, I'm just speculating that it could be using the same type of design process and same designs and company and molds. Anyway, This particular kit, 1/48 scale, lovely artwork on the front. Do like this one. And as I say, because I'm working with the tadpole at the moment, or the drumstick, or whatever you want to call it, okay, it really gets to you. You sort of really feel for this aircraft because of, you know, 1960s technology, 1960s aircraft, things like that, and you can get great things. The only thing I did notice, and I don't know quite right, but just here, it seems to be as if it's the picture. I don't know if it's supposed to be a speedy type effect or whatever, but it's actually wrong there. Anyway, out of the box, if we can get in it. Beautiful sturdy boxes as ever with Hobby Boss. So down in here we've got the obligatory leaflet on what's coming out, and some of their very nice stuff. Although, just to be honest, I don't know why, but you see this black patch here? That's done with felt tip. Obviously that colour isn't going to be available. Different. Okay, so we'll start with the old instructions. Okay, so we'll just have those out of the way a moment. So down in here, we just bring this top camera down again. Okay, so as you can imagine, usual thing, we've got tree callouts here and the decals and the various bits and pieces. Then we're moving on with the actual kit itself. So seats going together, as you can imagine, then the cockpit, and then I'm pausing here because I'm actually building a 30-second one as we speak, which is this big, okay? And the thing I'm actually noticing here is that these are the same instructions as for the 30-second one. So I'm thinking, is this just a mini-me? Because this is exactly the same as the 30-second kit, done by another company called Trumpeter. Anyway, gear going together, as we can imagine, all the way through, which is exactly the same in style and the way it goes, apart from this bit here, I must admit, it's slightly different for the main undercarriage. Okay, there is a slight difference, which is the engine. You don't get the engine. All of this is exactly the same, and the way it goes in and together as the actual 30-second kit, apart from the 30-second kit has an engine, a complete engine system, looking surprisingly like, I know you've all seen it, but I have it here, I can get hold of it. This is the engine out of the 30-second kit, which I've just finished and just about to install into it. So as you can imagine, it's quite a bit different. But certainly this is the cockpit section, which is, as you can see, this one. This is the 30-second one that I just finished and detailed up. As you can see, it is exactly the same, and I can assure you it goes together exactly the same as this one down here. So anyway, going on, exactly the same. The radar set and everything, which I've got over there as well, is exactly the same as the 30-second one. So what we're really getting at here, we're not poking fun at the Hobby Boss one, we're simply saying that the level of detail is exactly the same as the 30-second one. So if you want to watch my one about building the 30-second, you could then retro do it to doing exactly the same here, because obviously we've weathered and we've detailed this area back here and going through. So the radar unit goes in. It looks like the only thing you don't get is the, which we might do, I'm going to keep quiet because I've got a feeling it's going to come along in a minute. Certainly we've got the engines, the nozzles coming out the back, the wing sections going exactly the same. Again, just a mirror. No, yes, you will get it. And then we've got various parts of photo etch, which is quite nice. All the aerials are actually photo etch going in on there and going through. Decals. Very nice touch. So the same as the 30-second kit, you can either have the flaps deployed up, same with the ailerons and everything else in there. Speed brakes open or close. Got a beautiful speed brake system on this one. Okay, and then same for the other wing as you make your way through. And then wings in the fold position or the normal, exactly the same as the 30-second kit. The RAT or ram air turbine is wrong. It should be open bladed for the A version. I don't know about later versions, but certainly that's wrong for the A. It should be just the fan blade you see, 2 blades. Okay, folded up, going into nice detail, which is the same as the 30-second. See, I could have saved myself a lot of money and just built this one. Some nice details going in the inside, same as the 30-second. Okay, and then all the way in there, some nice steps. So we've got the photo etch, I do believe is going to be these parts, which it is, which makes it a very nice boarding ladder, which I must admit I haven't done yet. And then going in, you don't get it. Okay, what I was thinking about is this part here is, okay, is this part, okay? But the difference is, on the 32nd one, you get this bit, which is the electronics bay, which is that attaches, because this bit goes on here, just like that. And that's the bit that hangs down at the back. So you don't get that one on the 32nd, on the 48 scale kit, you only get it on the 32nd. But trust me, it is the same kit. And obviously the engine bay, you get a full working engine on the 32nd kit, you don't. So apart from those two little detailed areas, it is exactly the same as the 32nd, which is what we found when we did the Tomcats, that the Hobby Boss ones are mini-me versions of the Trumpeter 32nd kit. Again, everything going on, and then usual thing, got all your weapons, mirrors and tears going on, and a call out at the back. Then we get your markings, okay, which is down here somewhere. Have I got it? Slightly different, but close, because this is the one for the 32nd kit. Seeing a pattern forming here, but the difference is, for the 32nd is a different tail one to that. But certainly it does make you wonder. And obviously we've got one for weapons callouts and things like that. So let's have a look in the box for the decals. So the decals, I won't get these out to be honest, because they're going to be pretty good. They're usually okay, just watch your spelling on how they different spell different things, because some of their walkways, in fact we will have a look, so I want to know if they spell walkway right. So just down here, no step, beware of blast, battery access, yes, unfortunately, unless this is a new way of spelling Navy crews, but we see this one here, I'm sure that should say walkway, and unfortunately it's corkway, and it does make you slightly suspicious now, because the Trumpeter kit is done exactly the same as well. Don't say I'm not saying they're the same company at all. Right. Bloody hell. Right, anyway. The kit parts. So, this one looks to be very, very good. I must admit, I have to say this now. This is exactly the same as the 32nd one. The level of riveting detail that you can see down here, hopefully you catch it in the light, just like that. If we have a look up here, maybe the camera will lock in. I know it's very, very close, so it has a hard time. If we just take that out, you can see pretty good, all of that. Very, very nice details. Got little bits going down up here, slight differences as it goes in, but when you compare it, this is the stock part from the 32nd kit. It is exactly the same, apart from obviously this area is cut out and missing because you've got the engines going in, but if you look in, the details are exactly the same. So it is a shrunk down version of the 32nd in every shape and form. I can't see any differences between the two. Now, I know what some of you will be saying is that, well, you know, that's how it is. But even the way the wiring's done and down in here is exactly the same. See this one to here and to here, they are exactly the same in there all the way through. So can you see the little pattern forming here? Amazing. Which, if you're following the build that I'm doing now on the Trumpeter one, you know, obviously you could use this one and do exactly the same, but I've actually been singing its praises, saying that it's absolutely a fabulous kit. It's going together great, very well. So in theory, this kit should go together just as good as theirs. So, usual thing, we've got a nice level of detail. Unfortunately though, we've got a couple of nasty ejector pin marks right where you don't want them on these doors. Okay, so that's a slight difference because, to be honest, the 32nd kit doesn't have those. Okay, let's have a look at these wings. Let's see if we can spot any differences. So, tops of the wings, obviously the difference between this one and the kinetic one is these fences. This kit has them, the other one only has them on one wing. You missed that one. Right, so going through right the way through, we've got no really problems with ejector pin marks. Again, feels a little bit oily. It's got a little bit of recess release film on this one. Nice level of detail all the way around here. I've got to do it, and I'm not doing this to be clever, but see, look, for all those people who are saying it is the same, it's different. You've got the speed brakes down here. We just move this one out. As you can see, 48 scale. You see it's slightly different. It's not the same, just shrunk down. But as you can see, the details are exactly the same. So when you're looking at it like this, down on here, you see the pattern forming here? It is exactly the same. So I'm not going to do that anymore now. We know they're identical kits in every way, but that's not detract from this point. Beautifully done. We've got a nice mix of raised and recessed paneling on this one. So we've got some nice raised one for strengthening plates, but the level of detail is absolutely exquisite in all these areas. So I'm playing with the cameras and I've moved them all now. Just because I was getting excited. But there we go. Hopefully you can see, you catch it in the light. We've got some very nice details on with these ones coming through. So the major difference between this and the 32nd kit is obviously the engine. So this particular one, what you actually get is deeper intakes, which would run then to the first for where the actual engine is on the other one. But as you can see, some nice stuff. The only thing is, I have to say, you've got ejector pin marks absolutely everywhere on this one. Okay, so you've got them inside the intakes. You know, you'd probably want to do something with that. You've got them inside the doors, so they're all sort of down in here as well, which isn't particularly nice. So it is a little bit like ejector pin city in here. Some of it isn't going to matter, others is. Okay, certainly you're probably going to want to take some of these out inside these intakes because you will see down into them. Apart from that, we seem to be okay. So, moving down through the sprue. Cockpit detail, funny enough, is just like the other one. Okay, but moving through, all the details pretty good. Slightly flashy, not very sharp, full of ejector release resin. Got it all over my hands now. But the details aren't too bad. It's just it's not sharp. Okay, you'd expect it to be a little bit sharper in all of these going around them all. But generally, as you can see, I've got the instrument coding at the top here. Some nice detail on that and wiring and everything else. Okay, and then, no. Here's your instrument panel. As you can see it, just down there, you catch them in the light. All right, there's your instrument panel. The nose is in two halves. Funny enough, the 32nd one is just the same. In fact, I don't know where it is. Here it is. Just for your comparison, if you're wondering about sizing between the two, I've just put this one together, and this is just in primer. All right, so, but to get rid of all the seam out of it was a real pain. But as you can see, that gives you an idea of how much bigger, if you're thinking about going 32nd, the nose is. All right, and just generally looking, seem to be all pretty good. Just, I don't know, the speed brakes, you have them bolted shut, they didn't have them open. Okay, never used them, apparently it caused really bad stability problems. Okay, but they just don't look as sharp. Now, is this because they have been rescaled perhaps from a certain other larger brother kit, but they just look a little bit softer, they don't look as crisp? Okay, certainly the seats are a massive difference to the ones I've just done. They are different. And working our way through. So a lot of this is just to deal with the way the slats and flaps all work on these details down here. But certainly the seat's got nice detail, don't get me wrong. It's moulded in one, on the other one it's in about 4 or 5 different parts. It doesn't look too bad at all. Obviously you've got a mirror system there with the other one. And then we've got the tail, which you'll see has some very nice riveting. Hopefully you can see that on that. It's lovely riveting. That'll take a wash, absolutely lovely. And you can weather it and go through right the way through. Got the fences out on the outer wings, as you can see. But generally, hopefully you can see this in the light, it's not catching it exactly brilliant today. But they're very fine, very crisp, they're very even, they're all totally at the same level. Okay, and all things like that, so that's all good. We're not going to hoof all this one out, we've just got the pylons. And we've got, you see them down here, it's quite a nice touch. These are the actual, so when you've got the wings folded up, you've got a good level of detail in there. Good level on the pylons. This is the radar area and everything else. So we've got the bits in there. And then you've got your obligatory fuel tanks and the bits and pieces, as you can imagine, and your weapons fit. So we've got in here, we've got clusters, we've got snake eyes. No, we haven't. I thought we have retarded ones. No, not this kit. So you've just got your normal slicks. GBU, laser guided bomb system, and we've got some mirrors on this one. So you haven't got your tiers in that one either, which is a little bit different. Okay, clear parts and metalwork. Okay, so your metalwork, you've got reinforced gear set down here, which is quite a nice touch, and this little castle nut system on the top. It's good because it gives a nice positive click in when you put the gear in. We've got seeker heads, wingtip lights and things like that down in there. Now this will be, it's like its big brother, comes in one piece, will be the front screen. Oh no, it's alright, it's a hair, I thought it had a scrunch. Okay, so as you can see, beautifully crystal clear, look at that, that's an absolute gem. That's a beautiful piece actually. As you can see, it catches the light, which means it's perfect. Very nicely done. And the main one itself, okay, and there's your main one. Again, no, a little bit wobbly on that one, perhaps not as good as the front one, but certainly it'll be good when you've got it slid back. You can see some of that lovely detail that you'll do in the cockpit area and everything else straight out of the box. And that is your lot. Okay, to me it wasn't a surprise that it was going to be the Trumpeter kit. Okay, I'm currently working on the Trumpeter kit and I have to say I'm absolutely in love with it. It's a great kit. Yes, you get things like the engine, which is a stunning piece, but we changed the cockpit and upgraded it and everything else by doing a little bit of simple wiring, things like that, and we turned a very basic, to be honest, not very nice cockpit into something really quite special with just a mixture of dry brushing, a little bit of washes and some wiring, and it just brought it up to speed with everything else. So I can't see any difference from what you would do to this kit. I also have to say, putting together the 32nd one is giving me no problems at all. I'm guessing this is the same one, just with a few modifications, so it should go together exactly the same and you should have no problems with it at all. It's a great kit. When you start to work on this aircraft and you start building it and playing with it and detailing it, you'll certainly get probably the bug I've got for it, because you really do fall in love with it. It's got very, very quirky, it's got some great look to it. And you can add some absolutely stunning details just by simply a little bit of wiring, as I said, dry brushing and some washes, and you're away. So absolutely fine. The price on this particular one is, he's just checking his references, is £48 is the retail on this one. Okay, so it's not the cheapest one around, but we're still talking sub £50, and as I say now, really £50 for a 1/48 scale kit with good level of detail like this has. Plenty of weapons that will be your aftermarket. The decals you could probably use straight out of the box as well, no problem at all. I think it's quite a bargain because you're not going to need to spend a lot of money on this kit to bring it up to a really fantastic standard. So there we go, A-6 Intruder, the tadpole, the drumstick, whatever you want to call it. It's a great aircraft, go and get one. So, with the exception of no engines and no electronics bay, you do get the radar, which is got to be detailed yet, but here's the radar just out of the box. That's basically what you'll get in the set itself. Got the side bits to go on there. You do get exactly the same kit. I'm not having a go at Hobby Boss or Trumpeter or anything else like that. What I am saying though is I am having an immense great time doing this particular kit, and it's absolutely a pleasure to work on, and it's going together an absolute dream. So that in theory should do exactly the same thing, but in a smaller scale. So if you wanted to do exactly the same as what we've done to the cockpit, you can do it in that one as well. You can do exactly the same as I'll show you about doing the radar and the bit of good, you know, the terrain following stuff. All of that can be done as well. Obviously, certainly for the weathering, you'll see it in the future shows as they come along. So certainly I think it is an absolute cracking kit. I know I was joking about, obviously it is Trumpeter and all the rest of it, but certainly, you know, if it works, why not? You know, that's my whole point to it, and it does work very, very well. So anyway, next up, I'm going to tease you about the Lightnings. We're going to have a look at the Skyraider, which is from a company called Trumpeter, and they may be releasing it in 1/48 scale. Hello, welcome to Flory Models Review Time. Skyraider, this is the AH1AD6 version, okay, 1/32 scale by Trumpeter. There is other versions of this kit available, but this is the first time I've had a look at this particular kit. Striking artwork on the front, as you can see, really nice. It's a very famous engagement. I think it's one of the few times a prop aircraft has shot down a MiG. Obviously it's what they're recreating here, but as you can see, that is beautiful artwork on that one. In fact, the box is so big, I think we have to really stretch the camera out to get that all in, but as you can see, absolutely lovely. So on the box itself, as you can see, a little bit about the detail. VA176, this is the butt number 1, the 135326. Striking, as I say, it's the Hornet one. I think everyone knows that one. It's probably the most famous marked one of all. Or down here you can do it as the A1H version, which is quite nice. So you've got two versions in the box, the Air Force version and the actual Navy version as well. And we're going to get some weapons, as we can see, a little bit of photo etch and things like that. So in this massive box we get a little, there we go, drop that, a bag stuffed full. Okay, right, I'm not going to rip through everything on this one, so we'll first of all have a hunt for the instructions, which are down the bottom. We'll have a look through this and then we'll have a look at the parts themselves. So with the old instructions as we see them here, just have that, we'll just pull the cameras down a little bit tighter. So as you can see, we've got the obligatory pull-outs, okay, which is for the weapons painting and the pods and everything else like that. And we've got the marking guide. So as you can see, we have the Air Force version on there, and I'm assuming, there she is, we've got the Navy one underneath. All right, quite a nice touch. We've got their usual blurb on what's coming out soon and everything else if we're interested. And we've got the actual ones itself. So as you can see, we just start over usual sprue tree call outs, working our way through, and then straight into it you're going to be building the engine, which is really nice. We've got good levels of detail by the looks of this one, going all in there right the way through. As you can see, a full-on engine all in there. Next across we move over, we're going to be working on the cockpit, so it looks like we've got some separate panels that are going to go over the top, sort of reminiscent of the Tamiya kit, and then obviously detailing up this cockpit area, as you can see down here, which is quite a nice little touch. We have got actual formers inside the actual aircraft itself, all right, and then moving around with the tail wheel area being fitted in and the canopy, so that's not going to take too long to all put in. Some more details then you're going to put in around the nose ring, some of these radiator areas and things on like that. So again, quite a nice touch, all of those details. I was hoping you can, so you can position this with the cowlings open, okay, and they are not just detachable ones, they are actually rodded as well to hold them in the open position. Looks like you've got open and shut cowl flaps on this one, and for the front ones as well, for the actual cooling system. Again, nice touch with this engine being shown all in the open position, as you can see. Positionable flaps as we'd expect, and rudder, certainly at this scale, coming all the way through. Quite a detailed, it looks like, main wheel well bay were going in there, so we've got formers on the wingtips and all things like that. Then we've even got guns being positioned inside as well for the actual main gun system, and they look to be quite nicely detailed in there. Positionable as we'd expect, flaps being put on, the actual gear going through, it's hubbed. I'm assuming the tyres are probably going to be rubber somewhere, which I know they're not to everybody's taste, but I don't actually find them that much of a problem. Speed brakes going on, lower fuselage wing set going on, bottom speed brake going on there again, and the hook prop being fixed on, and the outer wing area again with the gun going in now. Quite nice how you've got the gun shown and detailed. Okay, and then again exactly the same on the other side. Wings obviously going in the folded position. I'm assuming you can have them fixed, or you can have them fixed depending which way. Be interesting to know if you can actually do it so you can have both, i.e. just put in the actual rib ones for coming across, or in the folded position, because I think that'd be a lovely little detail if you could. Certainly I don't know, go out and get yourself a second wing set or something else. Certainly lots of pylons to be going on and sway braces to be fitted, as you can imagine, on this thing. And we're just generally talking about the actual weapons fit, as you can imagine, on this one. And certainly there's your weapons loadout of how you're going to want it. If you've ever seen this aircraft, you'll know that it's just tons of weapons. The only thing I haven't seen yet is the decals. I'm hoping they are in the box somewhere. So we just poke that out of the way. Oh, we're okay. Sorry, beginning to panic because I hadn't seen the decal sheet. So let's have a look at the decal sheet. Trumpeter decals. Sometimes they're brilliant, sometimes they're horrible. So we actually have the bomb markings, as you can see, the strips for them. If I was you, do as the way I show you about doing the banding to actually do the yellow marking. Far easier than using decals. Very thick they look like to me. And then certainly, as you say, anything with a shark's mouth gets my vote. But they look very, very nice, I must admit. They look a little bit thick. You can even feel them. And I don't know, they're not perfect, but on something of this scale, you weather it in and everything else, I think you'll be absolutely okay. I think you can get away with using these. They are just a little bit thick, a little bit heavy, shall we say, but generally not too bad at all. Right, let's start making our way through some of these bigger ones and seeing what we've got. So, first up, I'm going to need the blade. So this gives us an idea of what we're going to get. You might be able to see we've got very nice, very fine, extremely crisp detail panel lining. That is exquisite. That's very, very fine panel lining detail down in all of that one. And we've got raised as well. So you've got a mixture of raised and recessed, as you'd expect. Okay, under down here, which is quite nice, we've got no ejector pin marks in anywhere that cares, so that's really nice that we haven't got any in the top of the wing there set, so that's very good. Main fuselage itself looks like it's open. That's alright, the heat seal didn't heat seal that one. So main fuselage itself, now as you say, I haven't seen the other version. It seems to have a little bit of texture to it, but as you can probably see, catch it in the light, we've got very nice details all on this one, no problem with it at all. Okay, we've got the dive brakes, these are the inners and the outers. We've got a little bit of detail inside the cockpit wall area just down there, and the same on the other side, very limited, and a bit of the push down flap for the access for getting in and out just down there, but generally very, very nice. So anyway, down here in the old engine department, we seem to be pretty good. It's not the sharpest detailing on these engines, if we're honest, but it's not too bad at all. Obviously, we've got all the plumbing, the leads. We've got this flower petal one for actually closing the intakes going in. The props themselves, nicely done. Cowl flaps open or closed. Nicely details on the inside. We've got no ejector pin marks in there. We've got no ejector pin marks in anything at all. And to be honest, this is ruining my job of doing reviews, because nowadays it's very rare the manufacturers will put ejector pin marks where they're in the way. I must admit, luckily for us, they've listened to us over the years now as modelers and complained about it. And they don't tend to put them in areas which bother us anymore, which is really nice to see. So, wing set, as you can see, this is the lower ones you see at the top here. Very nicely done. Again, the actual texture is quite rough, but you're going to do it flat, won't matter anyway. But you might be able to see this level of riveting and the actual panel lining, absolutely lovely. Alright, it loses it when you get right to the edge, but then whose doesn't? Okay, but again, all of these little details, the wiring details that we've got going on down here, things like that, absolutely fantastic. And even the pylons are very nicely detailed. Can't see any real problems with those at all. They really are looking very, very nice. Again, the inside, so we don't have ejector pins anywhere that matters for the insides for these gun pods and everything else, so that's absolutely lovely. And if we look at the top side, so this is the tops of those wings with the actual doors open, as you can see it down here. Again, so this is basically a mirror of the other one, but obviously down here we've got the the upper wings, and hopefully you can see that detail. It's absolutely lovely.
This is probably the finest I've seen Trumpeter do, if I'm honest, to date.
Certainly on a 30-second skit, I've never seen recessed panel lining that good. Okay, so some of the smaller bits. Let's see what they get like in as we go down in scale. So we've got various parts for the engine here and all the little parts. They seem to be tiniest little bit of flash, but you know, we can clean that up pretty easy, no problem at all. But generally the detail seems to be of medium. It's not as sharp perhaps as I was hoping for, but certainly I don't think you'd have a problem with it at all. It will work and give you a very nice level of detail. All the riveting seems to work all the way around. It all seems very even. But all of these parts, hopefully you can see them as we work our way around, they're going to build up to make a fantastic looking kit. So this looks like interior parts. So down here again, we've got a bulkhead here. Again, lovely work. We've got recessed panel lining going down here. We've got riveting all going on. Absolutely lovely. Really, really nice work on all of that. Hopefully you catch it all in the light. But again, a lot of this work in here is absolutely beautifully done. Very, very nice. So we've got a good mix of raised and recessed detailing going down there and everything else. So all the ejecting pin marks are sunk, none of them are raised, so that's nice. Looking to be a lovely looking kit, if we're honest. So, next up, got some of the bigger pylons. Okay, we've got some of the gear here, which is always nice to look at. Doesn't look too bad at all. Nice level of detail. Pretty sharp, it's not particularly soft moulded, it's quite nice in there. I think by the time you perhaps liven it up, a little bit of wiring for some brake lines, things like that, would be absolutely fantastic. And again, I'm not sure about these doors. I'm assuming, or I'm hoping, these holes in these are supposed to be here. Okay, and what they've done cleverly, this is what I'm hoping, they've actually used those as ejector pin push-out marks. So I'm hoping they're okay, and they should be like that. But as I say, don't know the aircraft exactly brilliantly well. I'm just hoping that they are, because if they are, it's cleverly done. If they're not, they're horrible and really deep. But they're so deep, I assume they're supposed to be part of it. We're not going to bother getting all of these out, but you can probably see in there we've got some very nice level of detail, recessing, and we've got recessed riveting detail, absolutely lovely. And again in here, as you can see, we've got a lot of this former framework, again pretty standard, as you can see it straight off of the bag, looking pretty good down there. And then what have we got down here? This is the wheels. So down in here, the famous toilet. No matter how many times you build this kit, you always end up with a crapper on it. Those of you who don't know, basically the peace medals were strapped to it, and the commanding officer dropped them on North Vietnam after the peace treaty all fell through, things like that. It's been written and read about and everything a million times before, and you tend to get it in every Skyraider kit. It's still very funny, and if you don't know it, please go and read up on it, because it is pretty good. Wheel hubs, as you can see, we've got all the different wheel hubs in there, things like that, all the little bits. So we've got ammo belts just down in here, and working your way around, generally very nice. The sway braces look quite nice, so they'll be okay painted up and used. This will just be a mirror of the other one, which will fit just like that on top. And then you will get, and I'm not going to get all these out, lots of weapon packs. So we've got duals of both of those, and we've got fuel tanks and the bigger bombs as well, again jeweled up, all as you can see in there. Then we get a nice little box, okay, into it, and then in here, as expected, we have our rubber wheels, okay, and to be honest, you have got a huge great seam line down in the middle, which you're going to have to sand out, but it has got a little bit of tread and a little rubber ring, which is the tail wheel. Then we get a very nice photo etched set. So we've got basically harnesses and grills, a couple of buckles, which is quite a nice touch because you don't have to use it with a belt if you didn't want to, and a couple of the little bits in there. And then we get a couple of bags, which will be our clear parts, which which as we go in, we'll just try and peel these apart. So down in here we have our clear parts, and as you can see they are lovely and clear. We've got minimal distortion when you look at it on the flap. These clear ones here go on the sides. As I say, I don't know if they're technically going to be clear in there or what. Anyway, instrument panel, as you can see it's clear, so that's quite nice. You can decal behind it, it gives you the glass effect looking through. We've got the lights again, which are quite nice going for the wings. And we've got a couple of other little ones on there. All looks to be very nice. We've got no webbing, no problem with any of those clear parts whatsoever. And then hopefully this will be the canopy. Let's say if it's not, we're in trouble. Okay, and then not even on a sprue. So we have got a centre line seam running right the way down the middle of this. As I say, sorry about the lights, but we're filming this in the dark. And as you can probably see when you run it over, it's not too bad. You know, it's got a little bit of moulding in there. Generally, it's not too bad on thickness and everything else. I'm quite happy with that. Seems to be nice and clear. As I say, take out that centre seam and it'll be absolutely fine. Very nice touch, as I always say, but I'll repeat myself, of having it in a little clear, all parts done with a little bit of foam. Just stops them getting scratched and damaged as they go in and things like that. So there we go. Well, I suppose we have to compare it, don't we, with the Zucchimori kits, which I have one up there, which is something like £250. Then you need the weapon set for it. Then you need the photo etch bits and everything. So really you're getting up to around about £275 in the UK. Yes, they are cheaper now. They've come down in price, but at the time that's the price you would pay if you want one. What do you get that's different? Okay, the level of detail on the Zucchimori one is a little bit better. There's no denying that. But that comes at a price. Now, this particular kit, just checking on this one, is £75. Okay, so £75, or you can pay £250. I know which one I would do in a heartbeat. I can't see any problem with this kit whatsoever. Assuming it goes together perfectly, you will end up with a level of detail sat on your bench or on your display shelf or whatever, exactly the same as the Zucchimori kit, but as you said, for literally, you know, less than half the price. You no doubt the aftermarket guys will jump on this one and they will come along with all aftermarket stuff, as you can imagine. So you could still spend another £50 on aftermarket stuff and then have it on a par with the Zucchimori for still only paying, as you said, what, £125? So you're still bang on budget, and it's going to save you a lot of money and everything else, because let's face it, as I reviewed it before, the Zucchimori kit, most of those exquisite, perfectly done, amazing details, you will never see once it's built, so I can't see the point. If I was going to build a Skyraider, to be honest, I'd probably build this one over the Zucchimori, if I'm honest. It's not me being cheap, it's just that you know, those level of details, which you're going to have to do because you've paid for them, you're not going to see in the finished thing. So I'd rather put the time in of building a kit which looks great on the display shelf and everything else. So I would go with the Trumpeter kit every single time. So as you can see, you know, why spend an absolute fortune on a Zucchimori one, unless you've got the money, of course, and you know, you just think, hell, I'll just buy a kit for the sake of it that costs 250 quid for really what you can spend, even with a few optional extras on it, which will come along, I should think. You're only going to spend 100, 125 max for a great aircraft, and that recessed detailing and stuff like that is probably the sharpest I've seen to date with their work. Looks absolutely fantastic, and if it goes together like the other Trumpeters of late, you have no problem with it at all. So it is an absolute stunning kit, and it's one of those ones, the Zucchimori one, if I'm honest, it's probably that thing of, do I really want to invest that amount of time in doing that particular model for something you're not going to see? Now, I know, you know, a lot of people are saying you're not going to see the detail on the engines. You are, because I'm going to hang one of these off of a pylon, okay? Yes, I know things like cockpits especially, I always spend a little bit more time in there. I enjoy doing it. But I can't see the point of doing the pistons inside an engine which is under a cowl that you're never going to see, you know, and things like that. That kit isn't a million miles off of the Zucchimori one in the sense of what you're going to get in the bags and in the sprues. Yes, the Zucchimori one is more detailed. Certainly, it's got nicer details than that is. But from a point of view as a modeler for an overall, okay, and for, you know, not being a detailed right up close thing to it, this thing would be on a par with it for half the price. So that's my point point to it really. Why spend mega bucks on the similar type of thing when you can get almost the same type of effect for literally half the cost and things like that? And that's where your modelling skills come in, because obviously you can use your modelling skills. Sorry, I've got to take it off. I'm absolutely sweating under this a lot. But you can use your modelling skills to make things on. And that's what we said, like doing this cockpit. To be honest, you look at it in the plastic and it looks horrible, but spending a little bit extra time, and that's what I did with that one, it's just a little bit extra time. I spent probably 2 or 3 more hours working on that one than I would normally. You can get it up to a level, okay? And then certainly from my point of view, I've spent a few more hours on it, and I will spend a few more hours on every other cockpit I do now, purely because I know how much it pays off. And sometimes you think to yourself, is it worth that extra amount of work when you're never going to see it? Is it worth doing it for something that's so small? Personally, I think it is, you know, especially if you're doing stuff that's not costing you any money. If you're spending £50 on a resin cockpit, okay, say for something like an A6, you know, and by the time you've done the photo etch and the lap belts and all the rest of it, then, you know, if you're going to spend a few more hours on that in times of money, you know, that's a big investment on something small. If you can do it straight out of the box and bring it up to that level, then you give yourself a big pat on the back and it's never cost me anything. And you've learned some new skills along the way. That's my point to it. Anyway, I've kept you in suspense far too long. So here is the Airfix new 1/72 Lightning. Hello, welcome to Flory Models. Kit review time. Now, been after this one for a long time, a decent 1/72 scale English electric Lightning. Now this is the Airfix one. Before we had a very horrible version, which was Reeboks, I think by Hasegawa did it as well. Raised panel lines, very crude, not much detail in there at all. Trumpeter had a go at it. Now the Lightning fans out there hated it and slated it. I've never built it, so I can't comment. But anyway, this seems to be the sort of definitive, up-to-date version of this particular kit. So as you can see, some very nice artwork on the front, absolute stunning drawing there. 72nd scale, kit number is A04054. This is the F2A version, okay? So down here we got some little pictures. I think this is probably a CAD version rather than the actual one itself. Okay, and we got some little information on the back there. So it's talking down here, 19 Squadron, which is the green one, 1974, or you can do 92 Squadron, which is nice because it's the bare metal look to it with a very striking blue tail on the top. So inside the box, we have one bag of bits, which we'll look at in a moment. So we'll have a quick delve through the paperwork side of things. So we've got some decals and bits there we'll look at in a moment. The usual Airfix blurb. Okay, so we've got obviously some little bit of information about the kit itself, and down here we've got actually this makes a lot of sense. It's something I've been talking about recently quite a lot. It says down here, surfaces to be painted should be cleaned before parts are removed from the sprue in warm water, soapy water, rinsed and dried thoroughly. I know, you know, this is, I speak about it a lot. If you guys, you watch my video builds, you'll know, as I always say, you know, do as I say, not as I do, because I don't do it. And occasionally it does come back and bite you. Now, recently on the forum, we've been talking about how primers aren't taken particularly well, especially Vallejo's polyurethane type. Classic example, I can track it back, and in theory, I've got here, I'm currently working on the another kit. We won't go into it, but anyway, needless to say, you look at this particular one, you can see slightly shininess to it, and when you touch it, it's quite oily. And this is the release film, which is obviously it's injected and sprayed into the mold before the plastic goes in, so it pops out really easy. Okay, trouble with that is it plays havoc. This is the first time I've ever seen any manufacturer actually put it on their paperwork. So, you know, it's very nice that they've done it. It doesn't mean they're rubbish, and it's not saying it's full of release mold, it's just simply saying it should be good practice to do that. Another nice touch, we're in colour. I haven't seen this before in their kits. So basically going through, as we can see, we're talking about the C, very crude, but then we are 1/72 scale. We've got some decals going down onto here as we'd expect in this scale, and basically the crew figure going in. You're going to need weight in the nose of Lightning. Anybody who's ever built one will know that. So the easiest place is to bung it in the radome, which is this section at the front. Okay, and then it goes together very similar to their 1/48 scale kit, which if you haven't got it, get it. It's a great kit. We've built it here at Flory Models and we love it. So as you go through, engines at the back, it's that classic shotgun, double barrel shotgun stacked on top of each other form, and they go in. And then obviously it's talking about them. cutting open the bottom if you're going to have a stand on it. Obviously that's up to you, stand is sold separate. Base going in, wings together. You have got positionable flaps, which is quite nice, so 45 degrees. Wings going on, then 90 degree on the tail. Sometimes it's a pain to get those particularly straight, so hopefully they'll be okay. And just like their 1/48 scale kit, as you can see, it goes through absolutely lovely. Everything in it. It's nice having this little colour bits as well. Nice touch of colour in here with the red. Talking about the gear doors going on, and it's nice, it's giving these angles. So it's saying here 7 degrees forward tilt. It does look funny, but you are quite correct. 10 degrees actually on the actual the main gear doors, outer doors. Okay, as it goes right the way through. Speed brakes either open or closed, as you can imagine. You've got the pitot tube going on and the refueling probe going on there as well. Sky flash and red top missiles. Obviously positioning them, canopy open or closed, and you even get a little fog guard with it as well, which is a lovely little touch. Now, all important markings, as we said before, 19 Squadron, so you've got high-speed metal underneath over the actual, it's like a satin dark green they call it. It's a nice little colour scheme to have, because you've got the brightness of the actual aluminium underneath with that on top, or you can go, which would be my choice every time with the Lightning, because you can't beat them in high-speed metal finishes, and this was lovely because it's got the blue streak along the top, absolutely lovely. So let's have a look. What else have we got? We have decal call out. If it's anything like the 48th one, it'll be covered in them. Yes, it is. So as you can see, we've got lots going on here, very, very busy with a call out for all the little decals going on there. And decals, normally you think they're a pain, and they don't, they're just a nightmare, especially when you've got loads going on. But trust me, on a metal finished aircraft, it really brings it to life. So anyway, that's all going on. The only pain one there'll be is the walkways going on, getting them straight and everything else. But generally looking very, very nice. Decals themselves, okay. So it's Airfix standard way of doing it, although they don't look as flat as they used to. If I'm honest, they're not looking too bad. Look at the side camera here, as you can see, we're all nicely in register, but is it me, or are they not quite as flat as they used to be? Which is nice, because they were so dead flat that it was a pain, they were too flat. But they look to be okay, all nicely in register, can't see any problems with that at all. And really, again, it's another thing with Airfix, hats off to them, because before their decals were horrible, they just weren't nice at all. Unfortunately, we just got one bag, which is pretty standard Airfix anyway. And then we've got a small separate bag for the canopy. So we have a valve in here. So we're looking at the canopy part, and it doesn't look too bad at all. It seems to be nice and clear. Obviously in this scale it's going to be thick, but generally looking down on it, it doesn't look too bad at all. So we've got some other little parts down here. We've got some, these are the red top missiles, and we've got the little gun sight down there as well. Very nice little touch. We'll pop that back in the bag and keep him safe. Okay, then we'll just work our way through. So we've got the wings here. We just drop this top camera down just a little bit, just to get you all in. And as you can see, really nice details. We catch them in the light. Recessed paneling, as you'd expect, very sharp, very crisp, very now for Airfix. Certainly looks to be really nicely done. Ejector pin marks are all sunk, so you've got no raised problems there at all. We've got no real sign of flash absolutely anywhere. It's got a small amount of texture to it, but nothing I would sort of complain about. It certainly looks to be very, very nice. Cockpit, as you'd expect, nothing, you're not just jumping up and down now, but it's the scale. Tops of the wings. So as you can see, we've got some very nice recessed panel lining down there. It's got this texture to it, so if you're going to do a bare metal finish, you're going to have to gloss it first, then come in with your metal finishes to get that nice glossy metal finish to it all. Generally, I can't complain about this kit one little bit. Okay, the detail perhaps on the main gear, a little bit lacking, shall we say. I don't think we'd suddenly run out and write big stories about it. But as you can see, we've got some, this is the nose wheel bay. We've got some heavy ejector pin marks in there perhaps. But again, I don't think you'd worry. We haven't got any on the inside of these doors, which is a lovely little touch. And generally, as you can see, if we catch them in the light, really, really nice. No problem with those at all. The important one, the one we all like, this is the actual sprue. So as you can see, very nice
recessed panel lining everywhere on this one. I've got no signs of any problems whatsoever with that, if I'm really honest. And it does look like a mini-me version of their 1/48 scale kit. I know it's not, because obviously the wing root and the way that fits in is all different, but generally the level of detail on this fuselage is on par with it. Seems to be very, very nice. And when you are looking at 72nd scale out of the box, I think this is an absolutely stunning kit. I think this will bring it up. Also, the Lightning, don't forget, isn't a small aircraft. It's quite a large aircraft. And there's some great documentaries on YouTube and things like that on the Lightning. So I'd recommend going, having a look, fill yourself full of inspiration, and then run out and buy this kit. You know, even the actual air intakes, which, trust me, they are so far down, you're not going to worry about it. You just maybe want to have a go, perhaps tiny little sand of the lead ones, but because you've got the shock cone, which is the radar in the nose there, you can't see down there, so you're not worried about that whatsoever. But certainly, I have to say, we've waited many years for a decent 1/72nd scale Lightning. I can now confirm to everybody that after looking at this kit, just looking at the plastic, we now have it. This kit will go together well, because they always do now. There's no real excuse for kits not going together. So certainly from my point of view, it's that good. I've gone out and bought 2 of them. So yes, there we go, 72nd Lightning. Airfix released some information this week on their site about new kits that are coming out. Certainly, you know, caused a little bit of a stir on our forum. And I have to say, you know, I know I've been saying it recently, but Airfix really have come on a long way, and they are getting rid of all the old crappy kits and replacing them with some real good ones. This one does look a very good kit, and I wasn't joking when I said I bought 2. I actually did. So we've got 2 kits down here. I don't know if I said the price on that one. Let me just look at it. It is going to cost you £15. So look at that, 15 quid, bargain, absolute bargain. So look, I could do them in both schemes. Do one in metal, one in camo, everything else. But as I said, also got to love about it is this artwork. I know I said about it during the thing, but look at that. That is absolutely some of the best artwork I've seen on a box. And it's not because it's a British Lightning aircraft and all the rest of it, because, you know, it is. No, but seriously, it's a beautiful kit. Beautifully done, and at a great price. £15, 1/32nd. Don't be fooled. That's a big 1/72nd aircraft. It's going to be, you know, quite a large display on your shelf, and the level of detail is absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure the aftermarket guys are going to jump on it and do all those extras for it, just like they did for the 1/48 kit, which is absolutely stunning as well. So there we go. Just got to remind you about the actual prize draw. Please get in there. We've almost got 1,000 people gone in for it now. It really is worth it, and this is what you need to do and what you're going to get. Welcome to December's prize draw. Yes, Christmas one and New Year all sort of rolled into one, so it's got to be a little bit special. Plus the fact we actually forgot last month, with everything going on, I forgot to do it. So we thought we'd make it doubly, triply, quadruply up to you this month. So this month's prizes is all you can see right here. So we've got the Hobby Boss 1/32nd scale Pershing tank. We've got the 72nd scale Fairy Gannet. We've got, we're all pulled down here, the G91. The main one, which if you remember comes with the patch as well, and all those lovely items in there. See, so I've got to try and balance this all on top of each other again now. There we go. The pigment sets that we did a review on only last week. Okay, so they're in there as well. So that's all of those. Tucked away just behind here, you can't see, this is a complete US modern aircraft set for the Italeri paint range, which I do recommend. Been using them. They worked out really well. Some of the things we've been using a lot recently is the polyurethane range of bits and pieces by Vallejo. So we've got here, we've got the gloss, and we've got the matte finish, and we've got some of their primer as well. Lots of you always ask about where I get my Vital Bond kicker from, so there's a bottle of that for you and some CA glue to it as well. Coming up shortly, we've got a review on pickup sticks, been sent those, so we've got some of those there as well. You'll get the grime sets and everything else. Something else which I reviewed and absolutely love, think it's a great product. This is the medium photo etch bend set, okay, so that's one of those in there for you. Are a complete range of sanders that we do. There's 12 in the set, as you know. Everything, that's our entire range, is in multi-packs and refill packs as well, so there's a massive prize value there. And then certainly a full set of the Flooring Models washes to go in with that as well, plus a year's subscription to the site as well, so we can't say much fairer than that. All you got to do, pop to the forum, it's at the top now, and then just go in there and just put in there Merry Christmas we'll have for this month, okay, pop it down, and then it will happen on
Christmas, no, we're probably going to do it New Year's, the day before New Year's Eve, shall we say. I'll announce the winner on the actual forum, and then in the next news show you'll hear it as well. So you've got a full month to get your entries in on there. Great price. This is no matter where you are in the world, I'll ship it for nothing and get these off to you. So get entering right now. Okay, so there you go. Make sure you get your entries in. As I said, I think we're near 1,000 entries on that one now, so it'll be our biggest one to date that we've had members actually entering on this one. Well worth it. Somebody said to me the other day about what's the cost of it all. I hate to think. Quite frankly, it is a lot though. Anyway, to be honest, I've got on so well this week with more modelling, I haven't really done a massive news show, so it is quite short, hence why you've got loads of great reviews. Do have to mention, the videos are all being uploaded to the site now, so all the tutorials are now in the new format. I hope you're liking the new format and our massive high res we're doing in now. Speaking to some of the guys, thank you. We're apparently getting our broadband put in. Broadband, I'll say broadband, it almost is fibre optic. Trust me, when you've got our internet connection, it's like paper cups still, but that goes in early next year as well. So as soon as that goes in, we're going to up our bit rate again. Okay, and we're going to talk about maybe moving it up to around about 15 megabytes per second onto it. So if you wanted to watch this on a 52-inch screen in HD, it'll be double HD, which would be absolutely lovely. So lots of things to come on with. I'm going to be working over Christmas and New Year, so I'm going to be pushing on with these. The videos will go up as you see them. There'll be no news show next Friday, purely because it's Christmas week and I'm going to have a bit of time off, but we are going to have one probably on New Year's Eve where I'll be doing the draw, the prize draw, obviously for that fantastic prize. We're going to do that sort of live on the show, and then obviously we're going to have a little bit of a look back of what we've done last year and a look forward to what's coming next year. Remember, SIGs, your group builds, they're all ticking away quite nicely. We've got some great work looking on those. We're going to probably have a look at those on next week's show as well. But until next week, everybody, happy modelling, take care and have a fantastic Christmas.